Hello everybody, so welcome back. This is video 2 of this series of creating a CMS with Django. So in this video we're going to be looking at some things that I've done, kind of get you caught up to where we've been. I've been really trying to think of how I want to plan out this series of creating the CMS. So what I thought I would do, instead of spending lots of time, trying out things and failing, I would get something kind of working and kind of share to you the logic behind it all. So let's kind of look at what we have so far. I know the first video we showed you that we had a few more things installed, and we're going to start by looking at the settings file, and you kind of see the things that we've added. So we added Draft, which is going to be the application that we are going to be developing the CMS system. We also have another app called Content, which is going to hold basically like blogs and pages that we are going to want to create outside of creating like custom apps. A page, just think of when you create something on WordPress, like a blog posting or something like that. If we come down a little bit, we'll also see that's it. We will eventually have some middleware added to this in addition to that, but that's the settings file that we've done. So let's look at Draft, which is where our primary focus is on. And you can kind of see that we have quite a bit going on here. And let me break it down a little bit. So components are basically going to be things that Draft can render. For example, whenever Draft has an error, it'll render an error message, etc. Which, when we get to showing you content folder, that'll make a little bit more sense. We have middleware. So middleware is nothing that we're going to show you right now, because it's not to the point of being revealed, because it's still in the works, and what we have so far is not utilizing any of the middleware classes. We all should be familiar with migrations, so there's really no need in kind of showing you that. Models, we have two models. We have component and we have menu. So if we open up the menu model, we'll see that we have two models within this menu here. So we have the menu, and we have menu item, and menu item is connected to menu. So basically, a menu item is the ability for us to create menus. It also gives us the ability to link menu items to components, which we'll discuss in just a moment. So if you open up components, we see how we have menu component, which links to this here. So if we look at a little bit of the details here, we have the name of the component, which is basically just what the component's called. We have the type of component, the element that the component is created for. We also have path and a few other details like params data enabled and the state of the component. So these things, not all of these may be used. This is just kind of what I think the direction that we need to go. This may change significantly from here and now, but what we're going to do is try to get it to work with this. So essentially what's going to happen is, whenever somebody makes a request, we're going to look and see if that request is based upon a menu item. If it is, we're going to look at what component is created, and when we have what component is created, we can load that component dynamically. And how that component is loaded dynamically is actually going to be through a template tag. So we'll have a template tag of component, which would look at the requested data and then process what is happening. And this is kind of just a a small test right now, which we kind of have a little bit working. So if we look at what we're going to do is we're going to look and see if we have any menu items that is equivalent to the URL path, which is basically like, for example, /content. That would be the URI path. If the menu does not exist, what we'll do is we'll try to look at the URI path and see if the path matches any component structure. Now, this is something I don't know if I want to completely use, but I think that this could be very useful. So we'll see what happens. Now, all app classes have to follow a certain structure, which it has to be the app. For example, the app is content that we're looking at, so this would have to be content, and then those apps have to have actions or components. In the component, for example, if we're pulling a single article from content, it'll be content single component. And if we look at this here, we can see that we have this type of structure. All these components will return a render, so it has to have a class with a definition of render, and this is where this is basically where all the magic will happen. So basically anything that we have to do to create the view to be returned would be created here. I will put that in a content, basically a context of content with the value of it. For in this instance, we're just returning self version just as a kind of get it out there, see if it works. And it does work. Not exactly sure if we should have the init quite yet. I think it could be useful. But anyways, yeah, so far this is working. One last view to show you is actually from the draft, which is everything is basically piped through this here, which this is very basic. This will become more dynamic. Whenever you wanted to change a template, it would actually be handled through this. But we'll do this a little bit later after we get some more foundation done. So I will I'll give a link to the project on GitHub so you guys can download this. Look for the link. If you're following this kind of early on, the link might not be there, but you know, in a couple of days I will have that up there because I want to make sure that I have this building correctly, and I just wanted you guys know all that good stuff. Okay, so good foundation. I really am excited about this project. Hope you guys follow along. Next we should have quite a bit more done, but this is kind of just documentation of how the project's progressing so you guys can follow along with it, or you guys can see the history of where this project started. It's mostly for myself, but I feel like I should share this with anybody who has been wanting to develop some sort of application and can kind of understand the thought process I have behind creating this. Alright guys, take care. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great one.